18 of Bass Talk Live with Matt Pengraff. BTL is presented by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, Aptco, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, and Pro Guide Batteries. Hit them with the hook, Jeffries.
PTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. And yes, I've listened to the fans and the listeners of BTL who have said, dude, when are you going to get Bradley Hallman back on? The Elite Series season is starting. There's a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, well, Bradley's been all over. He's everywhere right now. And then I was getting with him and he's like, I'm over here. I'm picking up the boat. I'm working on the wrap. I'm trying to order tackle. I'm shooting YouTube videos, but we got him today. He's in the studio. He's in his office. What's up, Brad?
What's up, man? What's up?
Nothing. I saw you also got a sunglass deal sometime between last year and now. Those were quite the shades that you were trying on your social media. I legitimately at first thought, oh my God, Brad's going to actually wear those. And then you said these are more my style. But
yeah, I was really just playing with some different lens colors. That's really what I was looking at. That's the only frame I think that particular lens color came in, but I wanted to try it. And so, but yeah, it's a Macho Man Randy Savage, identical. I actually looked it up, and it's the exact same picture of glasses.
I feel like there's one scenario where you could wear those, and I think you need to keep them in the boat, and that would be when you find a 10-pounder.
That's not a bad idea. I just don't find many 10-pounders.
I'm just saying, or a giant. I mean, you're gonna have six spawning events. Oh, I just turned into a 14-year-old there for a second. You're going to have 6 spawning events this year. And you're going to be on fisheries that have some big ones.
Right.
So I think those are your lunker lenses.
Those are your
That's what you can call them. Call them the lunker lenses.
The lunker lenses.
Because there's the only way to look cool in those is when you're jacking big ones. Otherwise you look like you're trying too hard, in my opinion.
Yeah. How long have you had the give them the hook mark? Is that brand new for 2023?
Yeah, that's new. You like it?
I like that a lot.
I was borderline on whether it was dorky or whether it was cool.
No, it's very fitting. I liked it. You did well with that.
Just that line I probably recorded 18 times with different like voice inflections and different words, and I'd put it in there and take it out.
No. Job well done.
Thank you. What have you been up to?
Man, just like with all the stuff that you just talked about, and I still do not have a boat yet. So when I leave next Thursday or Friday,
you have a boat. It's just not in your possession.
It's not in my possession. It finished up on Monday or Tuesday. Anyway, I'm going to drive today to Tulsa. The inclement weather that we've had has kind of kept me from going. I didn't see a need Monday to be driving a brand new rig through snow and ice. Darren called me and he was like, you think maybe you, the guy from the boat wrap, maybe ought to not call or come get this thing whenever it's snowing and icing outside. And I was like, yeah, that's not a good idea.
So at the house, I've got a walkway and it was 2 inches of just packed ice snow, like the real gnarly stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And I heard banging on my door yesterday. And I'm like, the heck is that? And I walk out and there's probably a 12-year-old kid and he's got like a digging shovel, yeah. like not a snow shovel, like a heavy metal shovel.
Right.
He said, hey man, can I clean your driveway off for like $5 or something? That's what he said. $5 or something. And I'm like, well, I don't even, yeah, he got it. So I had some ones is all I had. Well, he starts digging. Hold on here. He starts digging on the driveway and he can't, he's chipping it like 6 inches at a time. He had undersold the job drastically. And I'm watching him and it's just the walkway leading up to my house. And I'm watching him out of the window and this kid is really struggling. So after about 20 minutes, I go out and I say, "Hey, dude," I said, "You got it good." I said, "This is ridiculous here." And he goes, "No, it's actually really satisfying. I think I can get it done." And I said, "Okay." So he came. I said, "Just knock on the door when you're done." He knocks on the door. I gave him $15. Dude, like, shook my hand, looked me in the eye, said, "My name's, thank you very much." But he was elated with it. I was like,
awesome.
that kid's going places.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I said, come back when there's some grass that needs mowing. I said, I'll be able to hook you up with that one too.
Yeah. Well, you know, it ended up not even being that bad, but my kids have been out of school for 3 days. And like I said, my boat's sit up there at the wrap shop now for 3 days and I haven't went to get it. Well, I guess I'm going today, but yeah, it's really not done much the last 2 days at all.
Speaking of your kids, I did want to bring this up. So you're on the Elite Series now, and it is your Elite Series profile. You now have, hometown and family and all that. You probably need to update that because it doesn't have Abigail on the profile.
After
says you've only got 3 kids now on your profile.
Yeah, Abigail's not on there.
No, I would update that.
Yeah, I probably
because she's like your biggest fan.
Abby, yeah. She's 7 years old now, so that shows you how long that's been.
Wow. So the boats, the wrap, and the electronics, and the rigging, and all that, you pick it up.
I pick it up from the wrap shop. Yeah. Stan's got it down there, and like I said, he called on Monday and was like, "Hey," I was like, "Dude, I'm not pulling that in this storm. There's no."
Is that going to be an interesting?
Can you imagine like going to pick up your boat, brand new boat, and totaling that thing? Sorry. Can you imagine totaling a brand new boat because you went to go get it in the snow and ice? Would that not be like the worst?
No, but it would almost be as bad as what you did to your brand new boat on Texoma that you told it the Lucky Lure Elite Series.
Yeah, that did happen.
Can you tell that? Are you okay telling that story publicly?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Dude, you got to tell that story. I think that's the best story you have. I mean, you literally basically did the same thing. You picked up a brand new boat and then you totaled it, and the first time it ever hit the water.
We had fished one Elite Series event at Amistad. So we'd fished the first Elite Series event. This was one of the years that we were going to California, the Delta and all that.
Mm-hmm. It was your rookie season.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
Second year, I think. Maybe third. Second.
Who won the one on the Delta?
2007. That's what it was. Because at Rimmets, my roommate had just won Amistad.
And he was a rookie. Were you an original Elite Series guy?
Yes.
I did not realize you were an original. I thought you came on the
my rookie season was the inaugural.
You're right. There it is.
Elite Series. I was in that big giant class of like 26 rookies.
Okay. So 2007. It goes Battle on the Border.
Yeah.
And so then you fish the Central Open, and then you go to the Delta. So
that's right.
We're correct.
The Central Open was on Texoma. So I drove straight from Amistad up to Texoma. There was only a week in between. And I had this all planned out where my wife was going to drive me to California as soon as the Open was over. And so we and I was just going to sleep. I mean, it was literally a back-to-back type deal. And I had been to Texoma a couple of weeks prior before I'd gone down to Amistad. And apparently maybe the lake had risen or fallen, I guess is what the story would be. But anyway, there was a creek that I had, there was multiple creeks that I had poked around in, and got done with Amistad, and I show up at Texoma, and it's like a Saturday or Sunday. Like I've got plenty of time. Like it's way before the official practice and everything starts. And I'm backing in on a Saturday or Sunday, probably evening. It's after I just drove up there, and it's late in the evening too. And as I'm backing in at this boat ramp, a buddy of mine, a good friend of mine, is actually pulling out of the water, he and his wife. And he's got a lake house down there at Texoma. I had no plans of running into him or seeing him. And I'm like, "Hey, man." It's like, "How was your day?" And he's telling me, and I'm like, "Hop in the boat with me. I'll show you something you've never seen before." And this guy spends every weekend of his life at Texoma. Timmy Albert. I'll never forget this. And so old Tim tells his wife, "Yeah, just pull the boat on up to the house, and Brad and I'll be back about dark." Well, he hops in the boat with me, and we run up the lake. And this creek was not easy to get into at all. It was the mouth of it, even just to get to it, was pretty hard. It's a long ways up the river. The lake was a little low for the springtime. It's in March, And I take off up this thing, and it's one of those places where like some of the silted in, like across the mouth of this giant cove where the river's already like just to get into the big cove area is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you can feel that skeg, going across the sand, and we're off, and then we get into the big cove, and then you run to the back of the cove, and then right where the mouth of the creek is, it's really silted in. And I know it's going to be shallow, but I had ran out of it the week before. I had gone in with, or 2 weeks before, I'd gone in with my trolling motor, figured out how to get in there, and now I'm running it. And we skedaddle across the mouth of that flat, and you can feel that skeg just ticking.
Brand new skag.
Brand new boat. Brand new. I mean, it's been to one event.
Wrapped, picked it up from Skeeter Yamaha.
Probably has the Bass Zone wrap on it. Guaranteed it does. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's got the Bass Zone wrap on it.
Okay.
And I'm ticking across this thing, and Timmy's just sitting over there, relaxing. And we got this brand new Skeeter I-Class aired out. I'm probably running about 45 miles an hour. And we get into the mouth of the creek, and then as soon as you get in, it drops off and gets deep. And it's just a straightaway. And it's a straightaway for probably like, I don't know, almost a mile, I would say. Man, not that far, maybe 3/4 of a mile. And then it makes a hairpin turn, and right where it makes that hairpin turn, it drops off to like 10 foot. And then the creek takes off. You just start fishing right there and go. Anyway, I'm skedaddling across this thing, and we're in. We've made it, And Timmy's like looking, and the straightaway, the banks are like 45 degrees just straight up. They're pretty steep. I mean, they go up over 10, 12 foot tall from the top surface of the water. And just out of nowhere, you just feel this slight vibration, like a boom, and you hear this pop. It's kind of loud. And I realize that, the boat's still gliding, but I have no control of the boat anymore. And it starts to meander and veer to the left, straight at that bank. And I said, "Hey, Timmy," I said, "you might hold on." I said, "I don't have any control of this boat anymore." And as we get, you can feel it coming, and he grabs the bottom of that seat, and you hear him yell, "Shit!" And up the embankment we go, and as we go up it, I'm thinking this boat's going to roll over on top of us,
Yeah,
because we're moving at a pretty good clip, and the boat goes up the embankment, turns to the right, and then goes right back down the embankment and lands in the middle of the creek. And as we come to a stop, it's like, what the hell happened, And you stand up, and your adrenaline and heart's going 1,000 miles an hour, and you turn around and there's no motor. Like you see nothing. And the motor was still there. It was hanging on sideways.
It's attached by the cables or whatever those hoses are that come out of the back, but all the pins and everything that attaches it to the boat. Yeah,
we're gone. So we're like, man. And like, I still don't realize what happened at all. I mean, I don't know. I've hit something, but like I said, I had just run out of there 2 weeks prior. I'd gone in on trolling motor, not seen anything. And so then when I came out, I just turned around, put it on pad, and came out, and I didn't have any problems.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was not the case. And so we got on trolling motor, and we got out of the creek, had to get back across that flat with that big motor back there dragging. And we got out of it and got into the cove, and it was getting dark right at the moment. You could see these 2 lanterns lights starting to burn by the time we got out, because it took us an hour or so to get out of that thing.
Right.
And Timmy starts hollering at these guys with the lanterns, and they're in a pasture. And I called Brandon Mosley. I think it's who I called, Mosley, and 3 or 4 guys come and we load that thing up in the pasture. They went and got my truck, but we literally pull it on the bank, and we have to get the motor completely disconnected, and it takes like 5 grown men, pick this thing up, and we put it on the back deck of this brand new Skeeter and strap it down. And I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I've got an open starting official practice like the next day or so, and then we've got to be in California. Well, the problem with being in California is there's 2 of them back to back, and the Elite Series has rules that you have to run a wrap boat.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've just destroyed my wrap boat. So not real sure what I'm going to do here. So we loaded up. Timmy's like, "Hey, just take mine." He's got an older model Champion that's his, which is fine for the opens. I could fish the opens out of it. So I had to pick up the phone and call Darren Cole, who was a good friend of mine. And at the time, he was marketing director at Skeeter. I called him at midnight. His phone's ringing. And
That's
he
never
answers,
good.
No. And I was like, not going to believe what I've done tonight. So I explained to him my situation. And luckily at the time, Darren was like, look, man, it's no big deal. You got a boat to fish the opens? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, it's fine. He said, have your wife or somebody come down here to the factory. And I've got my demo boat. It said it's brand new. It is wrapped with a Skeeter wrap. Mm-hmm. He said, just come get it and take it to California. So that was very awesome news at the time. And I did. My wife went down and picked it up from him. And
you had a good derby down there in California too.
Yeah, had a good derby in California. I think Delta, yes. Clear Lake, no. Does that sound right?
I believe so. Hold on. Let me make sure here. It would have been 1 second, 2006. 2007. Yeah, Delta, yes, 29th. Clear Lake. Now, this is deceptive because it's not like you didn't catch him at Clear Lake. You had like 16 and a half pounds a day at Clear Lake and finished 97th.
Yeah, that's when the advent of the true swim baits happened. Like they were everywhere there.
Oh, that was the Kennedy swim bait.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that? Were you guys going,
here's another great story. Like we had never seen, I personally had never seen anything like what they had up there. And so we went with Delta first, and I had a decent tournament there. And then we go to, and I'm doing good. I think I'd cashed the first 2 checks of the year.
Yeah, you finished you were on a little bit of a streak.
Yeah, Remitz won the first one.
But you went 45th, 5th, and 29th. You did in the first 3 tournaments of 2017, you did $30,000.
Right. And my roommate's sitting there. You know, we've got 2 trophies because he never stops. So we've got first place trophy in the hotel room, and we got a second place trophy in the hotel room. Yep. So that's kind of how he started off. So like we're feeling our oats. But Chris Lane had hollered at me one morning. We got up to Clear Lake, and it was Sunday morning before our official practice started. And he was like, hey, man, you want to go to breakfast at this place? It's right across from the hotel. And I was like, yeah. And so we go over there, and as we're walking to breakfast, holy cow, there's this huge tackle store right here in downtown. Is that Lakeport? Is that the name of that town?
That would be Lakeport. Chris
Lane and I walk in this. I'll never forget this.
2007.
2007. The entire wall was bass tricks, which we had never seen, right? Mm-hmm. Chris was from Florida. I was from Oklahoma.
Had you heard about him at that point?
I think I may have heard the name a time or two, but I had
But you have to remember, you couldn't just go on and order them right then. No. I mean, it wasn't like you had social media or anything. It was like Bassmaster Magazine, FLW Magazine, right, newspaper articles, and some internet stuff.
Yeah. I'll never forget. Chris is like, what are those? And the guy standing there that works there is like, those are bass tricks. You've never heard of those? And we were like, no. And they were the entire wall. And so obviously we needed to buy some, and we both loaded up with them. And back to that 16-pound bag, the first morning of the tournament, I'm throwing that bait. Like I don't have a clue how to throw it, but I'm throwing it. And I probably had 20 pounds worth of bites and just didn't even know it. I'm throwing that swim bait out there, like just firing it on this spot that I've got that I'm starting on in the morning. And those fish are just like going tick, tick. And I'm just whining going, damn it. When is one of them going to eat it? Tick, tick. This happens for 4 or 5 casts. Tick. And I'm like, I know that was a bite. And they're missing it. You know, I'm expecting it to be like a spinner bait, you know, like load up and no. So about the 6th cast, I fire it out there, you know, and I'm reeling it. And it goes tick, and I set the hook. And when I set the hook, the rod just loads, and I'm like, oh my God, I've missed all those fish this morning.
They've been completely inhaling it, swimming with the bait, and you just been pulling it out of their mouth. Another one would pick it up. I mean, you were pulling the whole school.
Right. So, you know, I go on with that thing, but then I don't know if I put it down or what, but you know, you don't throw it. I didn't throw it as much as I should. I should have thrown nothing else but it. That's what I should have done.
Well, or you don't know that.
Grab the biggest one. But anyway.
That's the one thing I guess that's kind of with the accessibility to so many baits and as hard as it is, like I don't think you get that anticipation of getting a bait in your hand that you've heard so much about that you think, like the beaver. I remember being in Southern Illinois and walking into a tackle shop and being like, oh my gosh, they have the sweet beaver here.
Yeah.
And my buddy Darren and I was, 18, maybe 19. And we just loaded up on sweet beavers because we'd heard so much about them.
Yeah.
And read so much about them, but couldn't get them. We go stop at every tackle store on the way down to Southern Illinois.
Clay Williams was talking here about how it's crazy. We knew what it was just by sight. We knew how good it was because the entire freaking wall was it. And of course, we had heard nothing but about swim bait this and swim bait that and the hitch that lived in that lake. And I had actually seen those hitch in practice. So I got the gist of, well, I guess that was before the practice started. We'd heard about the hitch and how big they were. Then once I saw them in practice and how stupid they were, they would run around in these little schools together. And it was like, like minnows in a minnow bucket, the way they would sit in school in a circle, and they're huge, So it was obvious that we needed to be throwing some big stuff there.
I started talking. Bill McNutt said Darren Gates, and I said, yeah, Darren, that's my buddy I was talking about. He's apparently listening too because he said, keep my name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Did you ever do the Madman Mooney ham craw that you could pack with a rattle? It's basically like the Yum craw bug. You know what I'm talking about? Was the Madman craw big here? That was
yeah. When it first came out, I think Crete was pushing some of that Madman stuff. So yeah, it was that was a lot of stuff that looked really good, and we bought a bunch of it, but I never caught very much on it at all.
Here, I'll show for those of you who don't know what we're talking about.
I dropped a couple of hundies on that kind of stuff, I think, back in the day.
Right there. The Madman craw, and you could take this and you could shove a rattle up in it, and then you could do an EWG, and the hookup ratio was like 3 out of 10. It's very poor. There's a lot of plastic and a lot of gap and a lot of bite that you had to get through, but it was kind of one of the first most realistic craw out there. I think that Yum makes it now.
Right.
The same mold. I wonder whatever happened to him. He did like a lizard and some other stuff too.
I don't know, but I hated that bait. That bait was terrible to fish.
It kind of spun as you dropped it.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
Huh? How were you fishing that bass tricks back then on a weighted hook or on a jig head or weightless? Because I think when it first came out, if I remember, when I first got them, like Falcon hooks, made the only kind of screw, it wasn't even a screw lock. It was the only weighted offset hook on the market at the time that was like strong enough and could hold that 6-inch paddle tail.
Yeah, and I believe that's what we were throwing it on. I believe that tackle store at the time had those Falcon weighted hooks, and that's what we were using in a 5-aught or maybe a 6-aught. But we didn't realize, we didn't know back then that you could cut the bellies and all the little tricks that we learned later on to use with that bait. We didn't learn for years later.
I think there were 3 major things with bass tricks, aside from the fact that they caught fish and were hand dipped and were West Coast and hard to get, that 3 major events in fishing that really put them on the map. That would be obviously that Clear Lake event, right? And then Jay Yellis had a year right around then on the FLW tour where he threw it exclusively for the entire year. Remember that?
I remember him on some docks at Beaver, just wrecking them.
And it was a magical thing. And then a couple years later, when they came out with this was another Remitz deal and Skeet deal at Gunnersville. Remember, they came out with the 7-8-inch bass tricks that were giant, and all those guys cutting it mentioned it, but I mean big giant ones, and that kind of gave a resurgence of it. I still have some of those packs from 2013, 2014 of those big giant bass tricks in there. I bet they're worth something now because I don't think they make those anymore. I have 4 or 5 of those, big giant 8-inch bass tricks packs. So, all right, we're going to take our first break of the day. Bradley Hallman, first appearance in 2023 This kind of fits into where I want to go in the next segment, because I want to get into Brad as he prepares for the 2023 Elite Series season. His thoughts on some of the most overrated tournament baits and some of the most underrated tournament baits as he packs his Phoenix for the 2023 season. You good with that? I'll give you a couple minutes to think about that as we take our commercial break.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, BTL on a Wednesday, February 1st. We'll be back right after this.
Introducing HDS Pro. Watch fish reacting to your lure live with Active Target 2. Get game-changing clarity in the megahertz range with the new Active Imaging HD sonar. Find the richest fishing spots with C-Maps charts. Take full control of your boat with the ultimate fishing system. HDS Pro. The more you see, the more you catch.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top one on Strike King.
Hey guys, Gerald Swindle representing the AFCO Hydronaut. This is the jacket I love wearing when times is tough, and I'm talking about the weather, not the fishing. The jacket, what I like, I got a double cup right here. I can seal up the bottom of my jacket because when you're fishing, you're holding your arms up. You're bad about getting water that runs downhill. Everything bends good. I'm long arm. Look, it fits very comfortable. My arms is flexible. I've got the speed hood on, pouring down rain. I can get everything zipped up. One thing they did is they made plenty of pocket space. If you ain't got enough pockets in the Hydronaut rain suit, you just got too much stuff. From the water membrane, that's 30K, baby. 30 times the reason you ain't gonna get wet. Super warm. If it's cold in the wintertime, you put on your Hydronaut, you're gonna be a much more comfortable person. If you don't just look sexy at Dairy Queen, wear your Hydronaut. We got it from small to 5X. Most rain gear does not come in that many sizes. You got waist adjusting straps. We can make it fit you. No matter what the environment is, we want you to be comfortable. We want you to be dry. You gotta check it out. It ain't gonna let you down.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
All right, welcome back, BTL. You're gonna have to beat that guy next year, Bradley, if you want if you want any shot at the Angler of the Year. He's Mercer's pick for back-to-back AOYs. He picked him this year or last year before the season even started.
Yeah,
and then he picked him again.
That's
you fish against him. You know,
pick.
Brandon, he fishes some of the opens, but now, he's.
Yeah, I think he. I was there whenever he first came.
Mm-hmm.
I remember his rookie season for sure.
Let me ask you this, and be honest with me. Have you ever been intimidated by anybody on the water? Is there anybody that you've launched that you've been in a tournament with where you are a little taken back? Because it seems like you're unflappable.
No, early in my career, no.
All right, who?
2006, 2007, 2008. I was in pretty much all of the guys that you would expect.
Who?
I'm a huge fan of the sport, just like you.
Yeah.
So, I followed it, and it was it was pretty intimidating to be around some of those guys at certain times.
Just like the icons, like the Cluns and that, or
absolutely, and even the Hackneys. I mean, guys that were close to my same age but had been there and already made a name. I remember Hackney being very intimidating at the time. Van Dam, I didn't even talk to Kevin. I was scared to death of him. You just nod. If he asked me a question, yeah, no, I wouldn't talk. So yeah, I was definitely intimidated. Not so much now. No.
Yeah. Are you cool? I feel like you and Hackney have a lot of similarities just as far as interests and thought processes and telling it how it is and stuff. Are you good buddies with him?
No, I wouldn't say good buddies. We're definitely have sent texts back and forth a little bit through the years over different things, but no, not super close. He's we've been in different places too for a long time. Right. So, I mean, we haven't been on the same circuit or done anything. And he's a lone wolf on the water, so, no, I wouldn't say that at all.
I had Tommy on, I think Wednesday? I kicked the week off with Tommy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was Ish that coined that. I want from here to the dam.
Yeah.
That phrase. He said that was an Ish thing. And he also said I ran the Michael Neal pocket knife ad. And, Biffle's whatever, waiting for me to come back. And you hear that EDC pocket knife click open, and Biffle, I'm watching him down and below the screen, and he just zoom like a hawk. He's all about the pocket knife ad. So when we came back, I asked him about the I'll cut you. And he said that was also an Ish deal. That Ish was on stage and Tommy was like, I cut you. Have you ever gotten run out of a creek by Tommy Biffle? Because you fished against him in a lot of freaking different things, and you guys fish the same, and the best stretches when it's up in the bushes. Have you ever had the infamous Tommy Biffle, I went from here to the dam?
No.
Never?
No. Now, I've definitely heard the stories. For whatever reason, him and Butcher used to always end up in the same places in the tournament. And they would always have these little arguments, and I would hear about them at night from Terry. But no, Tommy and I were closer. I knew him a little better. We'd stay together, and we would run together coming out of Oklahoma. Sometimes he would call and we would drive and then split a hotel room, like if we were going to South Carolina or something. So I knew Tommy a little bit better, but no, I never had any issues with Tommy at all. I knew that a lot of his mystique was he just had a intimidating influence.
It was manufactured.
Yeah. Well, all of them are manufactured to some extent.
I don't know. There's some guys that are pretty grumpy to be around, I think.
You're intimidated by Jason more than anybody on the planet, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I've never actually. I mean, I fished across from him on one of the days in the river when he was trying to get back onto the Elite Series.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would not like to pull into a pocket that he's in.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have any issues with that. You said he's chatty, like when you room with him, that he talks all the time. You have to be like, Jason, shut up. I'm trying to go to sleep.
Nah, he's not chatty like that, but he talks like you and I talk. Yeah. I mean, this was years ago. I haven't roomed with him in years, but yeah, when we were younger,
he doesn't just. It's not like you sit there and talk for half an hour and he just gives you a look.
No.
Well, that's how he is with everyone else.
Yeah. Well, we've known each other since we were pretty young.
I know. That's how it is. Hit me up with what you got new. What you got new this year, because I know you've picked up some. You've picked up some new sponsors and have some of the old ones. So
so I have everybody that I had last year. Nothing's changed. I've got Spro, Gamakatsu, Big Bite, AFCO, all that's the same. I picked up 4 new ones. I picked up Waterland sunglasses. I picked up Pro Guide batteries, who you're with, and Beat Down mounts, who's with BTL as well.
We're with that too. We have very congruent sponsors.
Imagine that.
What are you doing lithium wise? Let's go through each one, because the Pro Guide, I had Matt Looney in, and I'm doing 236s parallel trolling motor. And on the drive, just listen, I'm proud that I know what my batteries do. I'm going to tell you.
I'm listening.
Then on the driver's side, I have 2 AGMs because I'm old school. Those are also in parallel, and that runs everything else. And then I have the power. Then I have the power pole charge.
That's a great setup.
What is your setup?
Well, I, like you, have always been old school, and I've had the AGMs parallel. this year I decided to make the move to lithium. So I have two 12-volt lithiums paralleled side by side for cranking and all the electronics. And then I have two, like you, 36-volt lithiums for the troller, but I have a third one mounted in the middle. But it's primarily for me and my own self. Like we were talking about this yesterday, Castledine and I were, about just my own. Dude, I'm the world's worst of waking up in the morning on day 2 or day 3 of a tournament and stepping out to my boat and realizing I did not plug it in the night before. And that's just reassurance. So it's not tied in all the time. It sits there hot and ready in case I needed it at any point, because one of those 36 volts will run you all day. You know, it'll go all day. There's no doubt about it. It's just two of them gives you some peace of mind. And the few tournaments that we have that you're just standing on a trolling motor, if you're topwater fishing or something where you would be on high all the time, sight fishing, that's what the two are for. But I had the third one just in case anything out of the ordinary pops up.
Okay. And then, sorry, I was cut you off while you were doing the list, but I just didn't want to pass it up. And then you said Waterland. That's a new deal. You got the hat on there.
Mm-hmm. Pro Guide batteries. We just talked about that. Beat down mounts.
That you're going to love that.
Yeah. And the new one that I'm really excited about is Omega Tackle. So I think that the only pro staff is Zach Burge, myself, and then Taylor Watkins owns that now. So Omega is kind of a cool story because, you know, like I said, Remitz was with me, my roommate.
Yeah, he ran the Omega wrap back
years.
in 06, 07.
Yeah, and he kind of put the Omega football jig on the map at Amistad, that first tournament. That was Taylor Watkins, who owns it now. We were kind of trying to do the math. I think that was 4 owners ago, basically, of Omega. Omega's changed hands 3. I think Taylor would be the 4th owner since then. So kind of a cool history. Ozark-based, Lake of the Ozark-based jig company. Falls very much in line with all the LBJs.
Are you,
I like.
I mean, they're a jig company, and you have some jigs in your back pocket.
I do. There is a very good chance that you see a true original LBJ. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, there is a good chance. Yep.
That's big news, Brad.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. Taylor is too. We're both excited.
And still with Falcon and all that then.
Oh yeah. Nothing's changed. Falcon.
You got me thinking here, and this is why I've been a little the top 5 guys currently going right now that all find the same spot and they show up in the same pocket stretch area at the same time for the biggest cluster on earth. Like the 5 guys who are the worst or are notorious for not liking to share water with anybody. In a perfect world, they all show up and they all have cameras.
Okay.
We're doing it. So like, here are my 4, and this will change because you're in it too, because I was pulling it up. But I've got Tommy Biffle, Matt Herron, Todd Castledine, and David Mullins as my 4 right now. Who would not? I mean, you're talking about the all 4. Everyone's looking at the other 4, going, "No, y'all 4 need to leave," and the other guys going, "Oh, you think I believe it? No, you 4 need to leave." Are those all fair?
Yeah, I don't know if Todd's not that hard to be around. Hackney needs to be in that group.
Hackney
is, oh yeah, he's terrible.
Okay, so we'll take Todd out. Yeah, Todd's a little too ADD. He'll probably just move on and say,
yeah, and he fishes so fast, dude. He's like Van Damme. He's coming through and he's there for 5 minutes, and then he's a mile down the bank. He doesn't.
So we got Tommy Biffle. Matt Herron belongs in there, right?
Absolutely.
So Tommy Biffle, Matt Herron, Greg Hackney. Do you think David Mullins does?
Yes. I haven't even fished against Mullins that I can recall. I'm friends
I've heard
with him.
a lot of like, if you stop within sight of him, he's like a hawk. He'll come to you to let you know that you need to move.
I've noticed on a lot of video. I was actually going to give him a little bit of a hard time about that whenever I first see him, but because I spent a lot of time just kind of getting to know who I'm fishing against, and I've noticed a lot that he's not very comfortable with boats around him.
No.
Even in offshore stuff, like at Lake Fork last year, he gets a little upset.
Okay, so we need to add one to this. I feel like Kevin's just used to all that. He avoids that, so he would never. Van Dam would never stay in a situation like that.
Yeah, he can fish in a crowd or by himself.
Uh,
It's guys that do not like to fish in a crowd. It's guys that like to get off by themselves.
Yeah, Randy Tharp is a easy one just because of the thing with him and Heron, which is awesome that went down. But I mean, he can also he could also be pretty agreeable. I don't think that he's.
Yeah, he spent so much time in Florida. You have to be agreeable.
I'm trying to think. I'm going through Andy Morgan. No. Cliff Pace. I think he just put his head down and grinded out.
Yeah, definitely not.
Poche, he'd never put his boat in where 4 other guys are. He'd find the creek off of the cove that they're fishing, and then he'd run it up it at 30 miles an hour. How about Lefebvre?
Iaconelli's not. He's not. I don't know about Dave. I could see Lefebvre being hard to be around. Iaconelli's not going to say anything. He's just going to fish wherever he wants. Like, he's not going to respect it. He's just, if your line's in the way of where he wants to go, he's going.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about guys who are going to.
Yeah.
They're going to vocalize their displeasure with the other fellow competitors. Crete?
No.
Russ Lane? Man.
Possibly.
Not. I'm looking through it. Brett Height, no. Oh, how about Edwin? Is Edwin good at sharing water?
Yeah, he can do either. He can do in the group or he can be by himself.
Yeah, I think he could be really politically correct though, so he could see the benefit maybe in it being friendly in that situation to get repeat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of them will kind of draw the line depending on who it is, right? So, like, when I was younger, like I said, and I started, I probably got pushed out of some stuff that I wouldn't get probably pushed out of today. They probably don't even try, but back then they're like, I want from here to the dam,
Yeah. All right. We're going to go through the Elite Series list because we still need one.
I don't belong on this list, by the way, at all.
Oh, how about Jason?
I thought about that, but he's somewhat like Poche. Like, if there was 5 boats there, he ain't staying. He's out. He's not going to say anything to anybody. Nah. Dude, he's not even bad. I mean, historically, he hadn't been bad in tight places because I know people that he's worked with that, he got into backwater stuff that was small and hoping that he had it to himself and didn't, and had, another competitor, and they worked something out every time. So, no, I don't think he's bad.
Okay. Ooh, who might sneak into this list? And this isn't that they're bad. This is just hold your ground.
Yeah, personality.
Keith Combs isn't afraid to mix it up at all. At all.
I agree with that.
Right now, I'm going to put Keith down as number 5. I'm going to put Keith down as number 5, but that could change.
Now, am I still on that list? Or did you take? I never.
No, you're not. You're not on that list. We've seen the confrontation in the creek video. You're very reasonable.
Yeah.
Very reasonable. You either go to the back or start here, and I'll go to the back. So we got Tommy, Matt Heron, David Mullins, Hackney. And Keith Cohn. We got 4 Elite Series guys.
Brian Schmidt could be on that list.
Yeah, I see that in the.
Brian Schmidt could too. He could, because when he gets, even on his offshore stuff, like when he gets around, he doesn't like anybody around him.
No. How about Hanselman?
I don't know. Maybe at Amistad he's a little, but no, I don't think so. I think Hanselman's.
Scott's not afraid to fish in a crowd.
No, not at all.
You know what? I think we're going to have to go with Keith Combs. Keith Combs or Brian Schmidt? Which one are you?
Read the list to me again. They both belong on it.
Tommy Biffle, Matt Heron, David Mullins, Greg Hackney, and then either Keith Combs, Brian Schmidt. I got it. I know who the 5th is, and it's a dark horse. John Sokup.
Ooh, correct. It is.
Sorry, Keith, you're on. John Sokup. I mean, the guy's like he's the new WWE side, and he's gonna come in and he's gonna be like, "Whose intro music is that?" And he's gonna be like, "I'm here from the top rope." Day one of Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a bull in the china closet, I hear. So I don't know, he's the biggest one of the bunch too, so
Yeah. All right, that's the good stuff. No, Frank Scalish is no. Yeah, Frank Scalish probably would be on that list.
Lee Livesay, I've never fished around, or I don't think I fished around Lee in any of the opens, so I don't know.
All right, that's our list then. The 5 guys that we'd like to see in a cove at one time, all trying to freaking cast for cash. Tommy Biffle, Matt Herron, David Mullins, Greg Hackney, and John Sokup.
Next time we do this, we need to make a list of the top 5 that'll just pull in on your stuff while you're there.
Oh, we could do that now.
We can make some enemies right now.
It's your
You
deal.
can make a list of 5 guys that are never coming on BTL ever again.
Yeah. Okay, but no, look, we got to do the opposite side of it. Then the top 5 most agreeable pros that if someone's in the area, you're like, thank God it's this guy.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously number 1 is James Niggemeyer. Right?
Yeah, James just isn't going to talk either way.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys that are not. And like I said, this isn't good or bad. I mean, I would have to throw a number of guys in there. There's a bunch of nice guys out there on tour. Not that the other guys aren't nice. It's just like, do you see a distinction between competition and off the water? Are you the exact same Bradley Hallman personality, decision-making wise, everything on day 3 or day 4 of a tournament with someone as you are in the parking lot when it's all over and said and done? Or do you see the water as a playing field?
I think everybody sees it a little bit different. It took me a while to understand that there is a difference. I'm good. I'm just not going to be taken advantage of, which, had happened when I was younger. And what I mean by that is like, day 1, day 2, most things can be dealt with conversation. As long as there's conversation about something, you can figure out which way to go, generally speaking. The fishery depicts a lot of what's happening. And if you don't understand, like when you're on a 30,000 acre lake and there's all of you there and you've got a guy like Biffle who wants from the creek to the dam, that's unrealistic. That's not going to happen. When you're on Sam Rayburn and there's only 100 of you, then things are a little bit different. I never understood, me personally, the offshore stuff at Kentucky Lake. It was so big and those guys would gang up 4 and 5 on a spot, but that's what started happening and it's become commonplace. A lot of that's just conversations. I'm going to start the day off with it. And the other thing is you can't have a conversation 500 feet away with both your big motor running and him on a trolling motor and trying to cast, and he's focused. That's the thing I hate. You pull up to try to talk to a guy first thing, say it's Monday morning or Thursday morning, the first morning of tournament, and he's more interested in looking at his cast than to take 10 seconds to turn to you and figure out, because it's obvious you're wanting in there. I mean, have a damn conversation. You want me to leave? If you want me to leave, it's fine. But tomorrow when the boat take off, I'm sitting here. You're going to return the same. A lot of guys will tell you yes, and then after they bust 25 pounds off of it and you've let them have it, then day 2 comes in the morning and the morning feed's on there and you're the first one there. They ain't leaving. They're going to come right in on top of you after they just told you to leave and they would leave the day before. So you kind of got to know a little bit of history about some of the guys, how they behave and whatnot. I personally will treat everyone in the same way that I'd want to be treated. It's just got to have the conversations up front.
So you'll fish an area differently depending on who else is fishing that area. There's guys who are going to honor it, and guys who are going to burn it down. So if
there's chances, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to do it because of that, but I'm definitely going to have a little bit different conversation. Like I am going to be very pointed about it.
How do you learn all these unwritten rules at the high level? I get asked that a lot.
Because you get taken advantage of or used, or people don't respect what you give other people respect and they don't respect it back. You can just tell by their boat positioning and control and what they fish and what they don't.
So guys who come into this thing and don't have fish 3 opens and
we're talking about this is a personality trait.
Yeah. So, but how do they learn all these things?
Well, just like there's a lot of listeners here right now, everyone has a different mindset, and there's a lot of guys whose minds are black and white, right and wrong. Well, then there's a lot of guys whose minds there's a lot in the gray, and this is competition. You go do whatever the hell you want to do. you just got to realize who you're dealing with. Where is he at on that? You know, life's not black and white, and I get that. But my feeling is it's a big lake and there's a lot of fish out there. But man, sometimes those schools that you find in practice, that one or two places that's really got some fish on it, it's hard to just walk off and leave. And when you draw a boat 100, it sucks.
Yeah. Do you think it should be more black and white? Do you think there should be more rules about, like, go back to the anchor rule and the trolling motor rule and 50-yard rule and penalties
all
if you pull in?
All those rules just caused more problems.
So it's a self-policing gray
Yes,
area on
yes.
that is malleable.
Yeah. Should be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a weird deal. It's a weird deal. I mean,
and the guys that
nuances.
The guys that are pushy got that way because they learned somewhere through it by being pushy. They got their way. You know what I mean?
They were nice and got burned, and it cost them immensely.
Could be that too. I don't know that there was ever a time that Tommy was just super nice and got burned, but it could have been.
You know, back in the day, Tommy was always the last boat in the water, helping everyone else launch. I got some sausage biscuits in my boat. You want one?
Look, it's competition at the end of the day. That's what it is. So, you know, you got to take that for what it's worth. And you got to be able to give as good as you can take. And you got to be able to take as good as you can give. That's what some of them aren't as good at, is taking as good as they give.
All right, we're going to take our final break. And then when we come back, I do want to get into what you feel like are the most overrated and underrated baits that are in everybody's boat going into the Elite Series season right now.
All right.
BTL with Brad Hallman. We'll be back right after this.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
I'm the kind of guy that never leaves a house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels, I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out.
All right, we're back with Brad Hallman. Boy, the comment section really lit up over that last segment, Bradley.
Yeah, I do agree that I agree with the one with the part of Denny Breyer.
You do? Well, I like this one. Anthony says, I can see Castledine flipping a switch from having a civil conversation to pulling out a bat, depending on the other angler.
No.
No?
No.
Oh. Well, Drunkwood thinks Todd would just rip his shirt off, for a baby oil up and down his body, and then hit him with an overhand volleyball serve.
No, he may do that. No, Todd's pretty. He's got his stuff in check. He doesn't lose his cool. But good thing he doesn't. That guy's too good a shape. He'd hurt all of us.
That's an interesting comment. He said, I ran into Hallman at a BFL and you follow last year. We both got to an area at close to the same time. We both went opposite directions and gave each other plenty of space. Gosh, I can't talk. Plenty of space. It was just the right thing to do.
Yeah, I haven't had many confrontations on the water. I try to respect everybody the same as I'd want to be treated.
Most overrated baits that's in everybody's boat. It not like actual individual bait, but style of baits.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on that? That you're gonna have in your boat, and that you'll most likely not throw, but you're gonna have it in your boat because it's always in your boat.
There's some that I won't even have in my boat. So this is going to hurt your feelings a little bit. I'm not going to have a glide bait in my boat. Will not. Do not have a huge stash of them. Don't throw them. Not me. Okay. Yeah, I told you it'd hurt your feelings.
I think that's super situational.
Well, I mean, I think I heard Jason talking about this not too long ago. Like, he's kind of on the same page I am. I mean, how many tournaments have been won have we had a MLF event or a Elite Series event won with?
Not exclusively. It's added a fish or two in some.
Okay.
That's it. But yeah, no, there hasn't been a predominant glide bait victory. And trust me, Chris has tried multiple
I understand
times.
There's been people to try.
Which would lend to your theory that it might be a little bit overrated when it comes to tournaments. Anything else?
That's the one that just sticks out. I knew that would hurt your feelings because I know how much you like them, because you're always telling me, hey, check out this glide. And you've actually gotten me to purchase some very expensive glides. And anyway.
They're situational though. Like in practice, you could pull one out and it might show you where some fish
situation for me is at my pond in front yard and see, but even there they don't eat it. So I don't know.
Well, that's just not the right situation.
I don't think it's the right watercolor.
No. Anything else? 'Cause I'm like that with a Cinco, dude. With a trick stick. Like I carry them. I got every trick stick and pro big bite soft plastic.
Yeah, because that thing hasn't won any tournaments either, huh?
I can't recall any time where I was like, heck yeah, caught him on the trick stick. Like just that style of bait, or caught him on the Cinco.
Dude, that thing's made so much money in Florida, it's not even funny.
Outside of Florida, though.
Yeah. California, the Delta, Clear Lake.
So it's
that thing
not
works. That thing works.
Not overrated in your book.
No.
When was the last time you threw a fluke style bait and smashed them?
Well, I don't know about smashing them, but I throw them every time I go to Hartwell.
outside of that lake, I feel like everyone throws has soft plastic jerk baits in their boat, and man,
I know a lot of guys that throw that thing and catch them pretty regular on them. Even here in Oklahoma, yeah. It was a tournament winner at one time.
So glide baits, it's about the only thing.
Yeah, because big swim baits you can win with, and swim baits you can win with, but the glide is the one that's just like a little bit over the top.
The other one for me would be like big top waters.
Yeah, like the lunker plunker.
Yeah,
that's too much. Yeah, we bought all those. I've tried those in many places, and they do work at times.
100%, especially on lakes with big gizzard shad.
Yeah.
Underrated lures then that don't really get talked about but get used a lot.
Well, the baits that get used a lot, I don't know that they're not talked about, but just like anything that resembles the original square bills, the original 1.5s, and that can be in any brand, maker, model.
Those aren't as sexy as they used to be.
No,
with the advent of
they're utilized all the time.
Bladed jig and all sorts of those other little shallow power fishing stuff.
All right, I'll tell you one that's not talked about nationally. Now, where we live, yes, but nationally, the spinnerbait is still a pretty good tournament bait, no doubt. And it's not as the chatterbait is chosen over it way more.
You know what always seems to show up but doesn't get talked a lot about is the spoon.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of guys, it seems like, in the top 5 at BPT and Elite Series.
Are you talking about the big Flutter spoons, or are you talking
the Flutter spoon, the one that I remember when Kevin came out, and you had the Ben Parker spoon, and you had the Kelly Jordan with the Lake Fork Flutter spoon that kind of brought it onto the scene with ultimate match fishing back in the day. But then remember, Strike King came out with the KVD and the Flutter spoon and all that, and it seems like it keeps popping up year after year, anything from that 6-inch all the way to the mag spoon. And it's a technique that I still don't think a lot of people have mastered, but consistently shows up in the top 10 in tournaments when it is situationally appropriate.
Yeah. To me, it's a rotational bait. It's a bait that you're going to pull up on something and you're going to put it in the rotation. So if you're
our boy DeForest, Worldwide Watson spoon, same thing.
Yeah. I love me some DeForest. DeForest.
He's one of the most educated BTL listeners. I put him up against anybody. Anyway, what were you saying about the rotation of the spoon? I think that belongs in that category.
Yeah, it's a rotational bait. It's not a bait you're just going to lock in your hand. Well, I guess you could. You could have at one point. That you just go around and throw nothing but it. But generally, it's a rotational bait. It's going to be mixed in with 5 or 6 other baits.
All right. What else you got going on? I know that you took a little bit of a hiatus from YouTube kind of over the holiday season, but it appears as though you're back with a vengeance now.
Yeah, we've been rolling. Yeah, definitely been dropping 2 a week.
What are you going to do this year? Have you talked about that really, as far as how you're going to do coverage, dude, everyone wants to follow your every move, especially the BTL listeners. Have you really kind of gone into what your plan is for the year?
Yeah. I've got a videographer, I guess is the word for it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
With me all the time. Sukup and I both have got one. He's going to be in the house. So that keeps me from having to edit, which editing is 90% of the time and crunch issue. Not so much for filming, but my plan is I just want to create a lot of content while I'm on the road. So like take a lot of the fans with me to experience what it's actually like being on the Elite Series, because a lot of the guys that follow me are not green or beginning fishermen. Most of my group that follows me are pretty educated tournament fishermen, all the way up to open guys and Toyota guys and even some invitational guys and probably some tour guys. But my group is pretty knowledgeable about the sport. I realize that not everybody gets the opportunity to fish the Elite Series, and I just want to kind of include them and bring them along. To do that, I'm not going to be producing a lot of highly edited stuff. It's not, my goal is not to make Brandon Polinick's type videos. Those guys are doing that, and that's fine. it's going to be more just like what I've done from the beginning, just like when I was learning how to edit video and stuff. And it's just not that highly produced, but it's going to be in the house, down the road, on the highway, in the restaurants, at the meetings, on the water, all of it. And just try to keep a pretty good turnover and as quickly as possible. So if you're watching my channel, you're probably going to see a lot of stuff very next day. So whatever happens the day before, you're going to see a whole lot of it, or maybe my thought and process on day one and how it went and my feelings about it and a little bit of highlight of it. And then that be up the very next morning.
February 1st now. How long do you have before you leave for the actual Derby?
I'm leaving next Thursday or Friday.
Wow. So you have a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of that, I'll film a lot of that too, because it's going to be a crunch over the next week.
So we're probably not going to have you on before the first Elite Series event.
No,
I mean, I know what you've kind of talked with me off air a little bit about what your goals, your expectations, what you would consider success.
Yeah.
Publicly, what do you say? Is it the same thing? I'll tell you what you told me.
What'd I tell you?
Classic and blue trophies.
Yeah.
You want to be in position to have a chance to win blue trophies, and you want to make the classic because you haven't fished in a classic before. And blue trophies equal classic. Yeah. And anything else that doesn't involve increasing your odds to make the classic or increasing your odds to win a blue trophy, you have no interest in.
Yeah, and
that's what you've told me.
Yeah, and I don't mean that to sound arrogant by any means, because I realize what I'm going up against, and like
but you're also not a rookie.
No, but I'm not Kevin Van Dam either, and I know that. But I want to go out and what I know that I had when I was younger that I lost somewhere through the years was that ability to grind and the belief that if I kept grinding as hard as I possibly could, something would happen. I went through a period where I felt like I was grinding all the time, and it just didn't happen. And some of that shakes you inside, but I've gotten that back. I'm ready to go to the end of the earth without stopping fighting. Like I'm going to fight to the very bitter end. So I believe that with that, the light does come on at some point when you keep fighting.
It does. I mean, you're not a Coupe Gallant. You're not 21 years old. This isn't your first shot around. This isn't your first trip around the Elite Series. You've got the titles. You got the trophy. You're established. You have a family. You have multiple kids. You're doing this to achieve goals that you set for yourself in life. And I don't think that sounds arrogant, cocky, anything at all. I think it's badass.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. You're going into it going, hey, I've accomplished so much of this in my career. I'm almost at $1 million. I have all these wins. These are things that I have not accomplished, and I am back to accomplish these things for myself.
Don't get me wrong. I learned a lot about points fishing just in the last 3 years, having to fish the opens and trying to requalify.
Yeah, you roomed with me and John. You learned about every single point that might possibly be gained or lost.
Right. And through that process, I truly learned the value of a really good 60th place finish and what that means. And to understand that in practice and to make that the goal, whether that be after a bad day one of the tournament or whether that be after just a bad practice altogether, and being like, all right, this is not your week. Now anything can still happen, right? You could still get a bite or two during the tournament that changes that, but you got to know when to try to lay up. And that's things that I haven't done in the past, and I will do this year for sure. So there's definitely going to be some of the things that I've learned over the last 3 years about laying up that I will use on the Elite Series for sure.
That's good stuff. All right. Next video dropping on YouTube. What is it?
I have absolutely nothing in the can. I'm sure that the very next stuff that I drop will have something to do with my brand new rig, the brand new Phoenix with all of the Garmin's beat downs.
Oh, that's going to be what you got 24 hours before you pick that up.
I'm picking it up today.
You're picking it up today?
Yeah. As soon as I get done here, I'm headed to the family truck.
When are you going to post about it?
I imagine it will be up hopefully Thursday. Hopefully I get it all crammed in and we can get all that up by Thursday at 11 o'clock.
That's good stuff. Dude, I know you're tired. You've been grinding. I greatly appreciate you jumping on BTL today to catch up the fans. It's what the fans wanted, Brad.
Dude, I appreciate it.
And we made a list, and you managed to stay out of trouble. I know. Anytime we make a list with other anglers, you're like, dude, I'm gonna end up in a cove with one of these guys, and they're gonna be like, guess what, Brad? You're the one who said I was difficult. It's about to get difficult.
Yeah. Last time we gave away the trophies, remember, down at the stump, and we took some flack over that. We did. We invited too many guys. Is what we did.
Yeah, we were doing the top guys for the BTL, like all BTL team for
2022. Yeah.
22. Yeah, and we left out Jason Christie, who should have been in the top 3.
Yeah.
All right. This has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. Brad Hallman. Dude, it's going to be awesome to watch you on the Elite Series. You got thousands of BTL listeners and fans that are supporting you, that will be following your journey, that will be watching Bass Live. Wishing you nothing but the best as you take off next week and we see the announcement of the wrap and the boat and the electronics. And, dude, it's freaking happening. It's been really 4 years in the making. You coming back, 4 years of this deal, and here we go. I'm excited to watch it happen. Disappointed that I lost my buddy in studio every month, but I'm excited to watch it happen.
Well, I'm excited to string
you and John.
I'm excited to string up some braided line and go throw at some weeds for the next 2 weeks.
All right. Tomorrow, day 4 with Uncle Frank, and we have some news, some info about the day 4 color number 7 that sold out in 4 minutes. 4 minutes, 304 minutes, and then we crashed the site, which we were like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we glitched the site because of all the BTL lists? And then it happened, and then we were like, it's not as funny as we thought it would. But, well, we got some information about that tomorrow. Guys, thanks for jumping on. Bradley, thanks for the hour plus, and we'll talk to everybody tomorrow for day 4. That's it. See ya.